Chapter 1. The Touch of Wealth. She touched the dead flower pot, and it immediately grew diamond flowers. The diamonds were large, and her eyes widened in wonder. Hannah quickly picked them and ran to show her aunt and uncle. They had never liked her, so she thought that perhaps when she showed them this, they would finally accept her. She was wearing a green dress with torn sides and corners stained with mud. Hannah hurried through the door and went inside the house. Her aunt and uncle were seated at the dining table eating. When they noticed her, Aunt Mabel said, "We do not need you here. We are eating. When we are done, we will ring the bell so that you can come and pack the dishes. Maybe you will see some crumbs to fill your belly with." Uncle Marvin scoffed. "It seems you are hungry. You still lack self-control, foolish girl." They still did not look up at her while they spoke. "I brought some diamonds in," Hannah said. "Stop saying nonsense." But the moment her aunt raised her eyes, she gasped. "Good heavens, child! I thought you were lying." Marvin also looked, and his face could not hide his surprise. He rose to his feet. "Come closer," Mabel said, feeling her throat tighten. Hannah did as she was told, and soon the diamonds in her hand were on the table. Her aunt and uncle picked up a diamond each and bit it. "It is real!" Uncle Marvin exclaimed. Marvin and Mabel jumped for joy and danced. Hannah just stood there, folding her hands and smiling. She said in her heart, "Finally, they will respect me and love me." Aunt Mabel and her husband stopped dancing. She whispered something to her husband, then she turned to face Hannah. "So tell me, how did you get these diamonds?" Hannah told them. This was not always the case. Hannah was born, and shortly after, her parents died. Her aunt and uncle decided to take her in only because of the properties her parents owned. They managed the property for her and took most of the gains, leaving Hannah with basically nothing. One day, Hannah was walking on the road when she met an old beggar woman. No one gave her anything, but Hannah tossed a coin into her empty pan, and the woman smiled at her. That night, the woman appeared to Hannah in her dream and handed her a ring. When Hannah woke up, she found the ring on her finger. She thought about it for a moment, but she did not have much time. If she did not begin her chores early, her aunt and uncle would find a reason to scold and punish her. So Hannah started her chores, but when she got to the garden, the moment she touched a dead flower pot, a bright light shone. The flower grew, and diamonds were on the petals. To know if Hannah will get what she wants or if she will be taken advantage of, read the next chapter. Chapter 2. The Gilded Cage. Over a couple of weeks, Hannah's aunt and uncle had become very rich. They had bought the estate they were living in and a lot of cars. Their businesses had also boomed thanks to Hannah's diamonds. Today, Hannah was in her small room wearing a red dress. Her dress was better now. There were no holes, but the fabric was very cheap. Surrounding her bed and choking her room were different pots of dead flowers waiting for her to touch. She lay on her bed and rested for a while. Her door opened and the voice of her aunt was heard. "Lazy child, why have you not turned the flowers to diamonds yet?" Hannah sat up. "I do not feel well. My temperature seems to have gone up. Maybe I should go see a doctor." Aunt Mabel moved through the tiny path as the other parts of the room were filled with flower pots. Mabel raised a hand. "Do not think of going to the hospital. You cannot go anywhere. You will wait here and the doctor will come to you." Hannah frowned. "I want to go to the hospital today. I also want some fresh air. I have been stuck in this room for almost 2 weeks. I really need some air." Aunt Mabel felt a slight boil in her belly. She tried to control herself. "Hannah, we want you to rest more now that you have such powers. We stopped you from doing chores around the house, and we let you rest in your room. If you must, then you should walk around the house, maybe the garden. You can even touch some flowers there. Just make sure the new domestic staff do not see you doing it." Mabel smiled. "No," Hannah said. "I want to go out. I feel cooped up just sitting here." Mabel's eyes narrowed. "Are you going to go against us?" Hannah sighed. "I am not. I am just bored of sitting in. I need some sunlight." "Then go to the garden," Mabel pitched. Hannah rose to her feet. "I want to leave." Her heart thumped in her chest loudly. Mabel took 2 steps back. This was the first time Hannah had ever raised her voice at her. Mabel drew strength, raised a hand, and hit Hannah across the face. The slap was so hard that Hannah landed on her bed. Mabel walked menacingly towards Hannah and stared down at her. "You think you can raise your voice at me now? You are becoming ungrateful to me and your uncle. Don't you dare think you can disobey us. After your parents died, we picked you up and gave you a roof over your head. We give you food and water, yet you think you can yell at me?" Chapter 3. The False Debt. Mabel continued, "No one in the family wanted you. Everyone thought you were trash. After all, your mother seduced your father. They only got married after you were born just to cover the shame. We gave you the decency to have a family, and now you raise your voice to voice your opinion?" Hannah felt her heart beating faster now. Goosebumps crawled on her skin and she blurted, "I am sorry, Aunt." Mabel stilled immediately. Then a fake, wide smile appeared. Hannah went on her knees. "I know I am being an ingrate. I owe you and Uncle all I have." Mabel helped Hannah rise. The girl was shaking like a leaf blown by the wind. "Oh, dear girl, it is good that you understand what your uncle and I did for you. That way you know how to be grateful." "Yes, Aunt," Hannah replied, lowering her eyes. Mabel took Hannah's hands. "You are a silly girl, but I can tell you how to show your gratitude. You should stay indoors and touch all these flower pots, make more diamonds for your uncle and me. That way you can continuously repay us for raising you, my dear." Then she let go of Hannah's hand and walked towards the door. When Mabel reached the door, she turned. "We are having a party in our new ballroom in the next compound. You know we just bought it. I will tell a maid to get you some food and wine. Maybe then you will not feel so bored." Mabel stepped out. Hannah sat on her bed and sighed. About 20 minutes later, the door opened. Hannah's cousin walked in and smiled. She was a beautiful blonde with big green eyes. "I see you have not yet turned the dead flowers to diamonds. I will go tell Mother. You do not deserve food." She attempted to turn away, but Hannah rose to her feet. "Please do not tell Aunt." Riley folded her arms over her chest. "How do you ensure that I keep my mouth shut?" Hannah kept looking blankly. Riley slapped her forehead. "You are such an idiot. Just give me a diamond." Hannah quickly touched a flower pot, and it bloomed diamonds and fresh flowers. Riley's eyes widened. She was never bored of seeing money growing. Riley walked hurriedly to the glowing flowers and used an elbow to push Hannah aside. Hannah's leg hit the edge of the bed, and she moaned in pain. Her cousin did not care. She grabbed all the diamonds and even stuffed some in her pocket. She said, "I am going to get myself some good stuff." Then she walked towards the door, saying, "By the way, Prince Elam is in our ballroom. He has been attracted to my very rich parents. Maybe he would even marry me." Hannah sat back on the bed and thought about it. Then she buried her face in her hands and wept. She had thought telling this ability to her family would make them love her. Now she had even lost her freedom, and she was treated worse. Hannah wiped her eyes and decided she would steal out for a while, maybe to check out the ball and get a bit of air. Then she would return to her room. She hoped she would not get caught. Chapter 4. The Kitchen Chase. Hannah wore a black cloak to cover her dull-looking clothes and slipped out of her room. In the past, her aunt and uncle only had this small story building, but now they had bought almost all the houses around and even erected a ballroom in the compound next to theirs. From Hannah's thoughts, they might pack out of this house soon into something bigger that suits their status. She was not wrong. As she walked on the street, she heard two women speaking about the house being built at the front of the street. The building was extravagant, and it belonged to her aunt and uncle. Hannah hurried to the compound. It looked different from how it had been in the past. Now, there sat a magnificent building used for the ballroom, surrounded by flowers and sculptures. Hannah was careful to make sure her hands did not touch any flowers. She went straight for the backyard. There was a tray of cakes on the table. She reached out to pick one. She was quite hungry, so she ate that one and picked up another. She was still eating when she heard a voice behind her. "Why, you thief!" The voice was thick and crispy. When she turned, she saw a short, fat man with a bald spot at the center of his head. The rest of his hair was sparse and white. Hannah felt her heart thump in her chest. The man's face went red with anger, and he raised an iron spoon in his hand. "I will teach you how to steal." The man was coming right at her and she had to run. Hannah found herself running around the table and then dashing into the back of the ballroom. Luckily, it was the kitchen. Hannah turned and saw the fat chef rushing towards her. Other chefs watched, and soon the fat chef called, "Someone help me catch that girl." The chefs acted like an organized mob and went straight at her with rolling pins, spoons, spatulas, and other items. Running around the kitchen was no longer a safe option. She had to choose another door, a safer door. Hannah ran straight for a door and hurriedly pushed it open. She did not care to see the place she was about to enter. All she knew was that these angry chefs must not catch her. The ball was going well, but Prince Elam was getting bored. He was in white and blue. He was doing what he usually did at balls, smiling, greeting, and dancing. He had just finished dancing with Riley, and she had been a chatterbox. She spoke about all her parents' wealth to impress him. Elam was bored because he was royalty, and wealth was an everyday occurrence to him. He only put up with her because of the reason he was here. Her family were custodians of diamonds, and the kingdom needed them for a business transaction. He was calm until a girl burst out from a door and hit him. Chapter 5. The Prince's Recognition. Elam walked to a corner of the ballroom, hoping he could get a break away from people for a while before he hurried away under the guise of having royal duties. The corner he walked towards had a door, and he had seen chefs and waiters come out of it. He would just pass it to the other corner, he told himself, until, just as his legs came close to the door, it opened and out came rushing a girl with only her head uncovered, but wearing a black cape from the neck down. She was rushing and not looking. Then she bumped into him. They both fell to the floor, and the eyes of everyone turned in their direction. Hannah went still even as she fell right onto the body of the man. The only thing moving desperately was her troubled heart, which seemed to be beating 1,000 times per second. Her eyes peered into his even as he wrapped his hands around her to steady her. He did the same. For a moment, time slowed, and that was all that happened. People were coming closer to the scene, all gasps and awes. The chefs by the door firmly closed it. Of course they would feign ignorance. Elam finally voiced, "I know you." Hannah returned to planet Earth from wherever she had been. She tried to get up, but then she felt his hands around her and said, "Would you please let go of me?" He smirked. "Of course." He did, and she knelt first before standing upright. The prince sat up, and a subordinate came to help him up. Marvin and Mabel were right there with frowning faces. "Oh, my prince, we are so sorry for this." Mabel turned to raise her voice. "Guards, come get this party crasher out of here." "Wait," Prince Elam said. He walked closer to Hannah. "You are Hannah, right? Are you all right?" Hannah's eyes widened. "You know my name?" Elam nodded his head. "Don't you remember me?" He took 2 steps closer to Hannah, but Hannah took 2 steps back. Marvin and Mabel exchanged worried glances. Mabel walked closer to the prince's side, ensuring not to walk too close so as not to irritate him. "Your Highness, I think you are mistaken. This girl is just a servant. She is a nobody. She is not meant to be here." Mabel turned to Hannah and yelled, "Get out of here, you parasite! Do not destroy the beauty of this atmosphere with your presence. Get lost at once!" Elam turned to look at Mabel. "Are you trying to say this prince speaks nonsense?" Mabel froze. She was not expecting that.